You are now listening to
The Really Joe podcast. Really Joe.
We back with Dr. Jeremy Hall.
Back at it again.
Back at it. So we got a topic today. It's one I'm a little passionate about myself. I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little passionate. The topic that I'm passionate about is this rap music and what I think it's doing to this young generation. Now, me, myself personally, and this is one reason I got to get the doctor's opinion on this, because I know he's into music. He does his own music from time to time. And so I'm sure you have a strong opinion about it. But to me, this rap music is killing this younger generation, because all you hear on the radio is something about an op, sliding on your op, riding on your op, sitting waiting on your op, shooting out the window, like like Mo 3 like to say, he out the window is shots fired, and to me, I'm not sure if you ever saw that Vlad TV interview with Lil Boosie, when Lil Boosie say that people are getting hypnotized with hatred. That's why they be killing rappers in their own city. And to me, I feel like people are getting hypnotized with all this gun violence in this music, and they want to live it out in real life, Yeah. And it's mainly, in my opinion, because people entertain it. People entertain rap beef. They entertain when two rappers get to shooting at one another. Like, it's okay in that world. But I think the difference is these kids try to live it out, and that you only get one chance at life. And like it was a shooting. It was a couple shootings like within, what was that, like 2 months ago. One was like right around the corner from me. Like 3 young dudes shot up this building. And then 2 weeks later, it was another shooting at a party. They say one of the dudes that did the shooting, the first shooting, was the one of them got killed in the second shooting. And keep in mind, I just happened to walk outside and I see these 3 dudes running through this yard right after I heard about 20 shots go off. But I just want to get the doctor's opinion on this. I know that was a little long. Sorry about that.
No. It's your platform, brother. So it's all good. So I guess, is there a specific, because there's so many different directions we can go with this. Is there a specific question that you have in regards to this topic, or do you just want me to just, I guess, express?
Okay. Let me ask you this. How do you feel about today's music?
Well, mixed feelings. So I think overall music, music it could be, you have the positive and the negative, and then you have the individual whom has a certain perspective towards either the positive or negative. Meaning, I use me for example. I understand the positive and the negative in music, but since I have a specific perspective of music, I can listen to a negative song, and since I have a certain perspective of the song, the lyrics don't affect me because I already have expectations of the lyrics. And instead of me just focusing on the lyrics specifically, I focus on the rhythm of the song. Now, I know the lyrics I'm paying attention to what's being said in the lyrics, but I don't allow it to, I would say, can I say this? I don't allow it to manipulate or persuade me to engage in something that's immoral. And then you have the positive music, of course, that's good for the psychic and have you feeling good. You really focus on the lyrics because of what they're saying. They could be talking about love, or they could be talking about the struggle, something that you can relate to. Now, what I'm about to say is very profound as far as the negative music. the reason these young individuals love the negative music is, number one, because they're in an environment, for the most part, young African Americans, hell, you even have other ethnic groups as well now that's getting mixed in this as well, whom they grow up in a household or they grow up in an environment where they have individuals, family members, cousins, big brothers, whomever, uncles, who are engaged in filth and immorality. And they begin to perceive it at a young age. They listening, they're observing. So that creates a trauma throughout the process, because trauma is pretty much anything that affects your psyche. It can be good or bad. But more so negative, of course. It's a bad thing because it's causing an effect on you that's not beneficial. When that builds up, they begin to navigate towards something that they can relate to. An example will be, and I'm not trying to get too much off track, is some of my family members, I'm not going to say in particular, who stopped associating with me when they weren't working, for example, when they were just in the streets. And I would wonder, like, dang, why they don't talk to me? But I realized once they got a job that was doing the right thing, they began to communicate more. And when I push ego to the side and I began to mature, I realized, okay, they didn't want to talk because they didn't feel like they were on the same level as me because they was doing something else contrary to what I was doing. Now, since they're working, now they feel more comfortable. Only reason I bring that up is because it's the same with music. One of the things that young people gravitate towards is something that they can relate to, that's speaking the same language to them as it pertains to their trauma and what they're dealing with. Now, I'm going to say the spiritual aspect, which is kind of scary, but spiritually, there are certain beats and certain tones that these people in high order that's over these record companies are very aware about. And there are certain rituals that are done behind the scenes as an artist is recording, which, and this is very dangerous what I'm talking about, but I ain't gonna go too deep. I just go to the extent it's very dangerous. But it binds certain spiritual entities into the mix of their vibration. So when someone hears it, if they're listening to a song, there are certain tones that's playing that hypnotizes an individual, where the words goes past their consciousness, it goes straight to their subconscious. So later on, something may occur, a certain sound may occur when somebody drop a glass, and that tune that went to that subconscious gets triggered, and it causes the person to react in such a way, like when you're in the club, for example, and they say they play that song by Boosie or whomever, Set It Off, and people start acting crazy. It ain't necessarily the lyrics all the time. It's the vibration which triggers something that's been stored in the subconscious, which causes a person to react because of that tone and that synchronicity. So a lot of people are, which is insidious, is engaging in something that they're not really consciously aware of. That's why later on someone may say, I've heard people say this, tell me this, there's something about this song that makes me feel this way, and I really don't know what it is, Jeremy. Now, it depends on how comfortable I am telling them. I may tell them, or I may say something like, yeah, you need to be careful what you listen to, because I don't want to freak them out. So it's ritualistic, and of course it's lyrics too, with a combination of a person's upbringing. Now, I'm sure you're saying, what's the solution? Well, the solution is having a certain perspective, number one, and number two, understand that music is not just about the lyrics, but also about the vibration and the intent of the person who is recording the song. If a person is upset at somebody, brother, because intentions is very powerful, and we have to really understand this. It's very powerful. If you have negative intentions towards somebody or someone, and you make a song and you're upset, that energy transfers in the song. Just like when you heard my mixtape, you said yourself, you could tell that I've been through some stuff. Why you think that? It ain't because of what you heard, it's what you felt. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
Right. It's the same concept with these other artists who actually have people behind them who, for the most part, are occultists, or should I say, they're dealing with dark magic, who binds the artist with them through those contracts, which manifests other things that I'm not going to too much get into, but it makes it much stronger. So you got these youngsters that don't have a father figure for the most part, or any type of figure. So they look at the artist, number one, as that father figure that's raising them by the music. And then they're more drawn to them because of this negative energy that's being transferred out. Now you may say, well, Jeremy, well, if you're aware of this, why do you still every now and then listen to negative music? Well, when I listen to a negative song, and when I mean by negative, they're talking about something negative. There are certain songs I like, they may be saying something negative, but I like the style of the beats and instruments. So I go into listening to the song with a certain perspective and a expectation of what I'm going to get from it, which is the beat. Like Nipsey Hussle, there's some songs I like from him because of his rap style. He it's like he talking through a song, but it sounds good with the beat. Right. So I focus on that, but still being aware of what he's saying so it doesn't slip to my subconscious. Because if you just listening to a beat and there's lyrics that's occurring and you just focus on the beat, those words can go straight to your subconscious and then you act them out later. And that's the creepy thing. That's why I pay attention to everything. Right. Even with movies, I pay attention. I know I said a lot, but
it's all good, man. So look, we got the lovely old lady off camera over there. So okay. we had a little bit of this talk, and she was very passionate about it. So I'm like, hey, come on, come sit in.
Yes.
So I'm gonna ask Denise, what do you think about today's music?
I believe today's music is no different than the music that we were listening to when we were growing up. I say that because the elderly that was bringing the generation that we came up in, they thought what we were listening to was horrible music and was bad for the world as well. And so I think that because of that, it got worse. It didn't get any better. No one ever sits down and say, okay, that's some bad music. The music we was listening to wasn't necessarily talking about killing people, but we were talking about selling drugs, disrespecting Black women, not being loyal to women. And now we're seeing the effects of that music now. So the music now is no different than the music that we came up on. The difference is the exposure in which we got it. So we got it once we had a stable foundation. The kids now are getting it at a younger age. Before they establish a sense of respect, a sense of self, they're allowing the rappers to basically mold them into who they are. We didn't have that. For one, we didn't have social media. We didn't have technology to sway us. All we had at our age was to go outside and play. Now it's, I'm going to get on YouTube and listen to Baby and somebody else, which is shaping who they are before they have a chance to form a good heart person, to know that, okay, you can listen to this bad music, but you don't have to become these people. It could be, for like you just said, it could be about the beat or about the lyrics. We know not to do those things. The kids now, they're getting it too early, so they're not able to say, I don't want to grow up and be killing people. I just want to listen to this music and vibe out. They're not able to do that because they're getting it too young.
Okay, so it's kind of
like, and I agree with it too. It just didn't start today. You know, it goes further back. She's absolutely right.
Okay, so Denise, you feel like it's more of you. It's kind of like you're saying it's the parents' fault.
It's the parents' fault. It's our generation fault as well. It's not, it's everybody's fault. There's no one, I can't point the finger at no one person. It is the fault of everybody who keeps saying it's not our fault when really and truly, it is everybody's fault because we didn't stop it and we didn't acknowledge, okay, if we keep listening to this type of music, then it's only going to get worse. And we have to accept that the music that we was listening to was also damaging. So we can stop nurturing the music that is coming so it can stop damaging our future as well. And our future, when I say our future, I mean the kids. So we have to just accept that we're nurturing bad music, basically.
Okay. So also, Dr. Hall, this is something that she mentioned to me a little bit ago was it was some pre-K student, that my daughter knows. She comes to school rapping Mo 3 all the time. And if you listen to Mo 3, I'm sure all he really talks about is gun violence, And I'm like, I think she said the kid like 4, So I can understand her point, when she says that, and then you tell me about a 4-year-old that's rapping Mo 3 that's all he, I mean, for the most part, he talks about gun violence. Let me say that. But in my personal opinion, when we was young, we didn't have drill music. And if you really think about it, more kids want to be rappers versus being, just a nurse or a doctor, a lawyer, a police officer, fireman. Kids don't want to be that anymore. Versus when we were young, that was our goal. Yeah, nobody was really rapping. But to me, kids listen to these rappers more than they listen to their parents. Because, as we were saying before, when we touched on that Tupac topic, kids can recite their favorite rappers every word. But I'm pretty sure their parents tell them the same thing every week and had to keep repeating it. But they know everything about their favorite rapper, every word they say. So that's why I feel like music has more influence on these kids than the parents.
They do. That's 100%. That's been proven too. The proof of that is the gravitation of generations, and I'm talking about all ethnic groups. You have Asians, Japanese, and all other ethnic groups now that's been affected because truth of the matter is melanated people inspire the world, and that's a whole nother subject. So everyone is looking at us, especially Black men, because there was one point in time in history where the Black man was the central element of the world back in the ancient times, and then it changed. The female, the woman, the power shifted, and it changed. But when we as melanated people begin to do certain things and others are naturally drawn to us, they mimic us. So, but I don't want to get too deep in that. So I say that to say, when we don't stand for, righteousness, and we don't have self-respect for ourselves, children at a very, very, very young age pick up on that. Because the younger a child is, the more closer there is to God, to the universe, because they're not indoctrinated by society. So when the younger, the more tuned in. So they know, even if they can't talk, they can sense things. And as they get older, they keep their eyes on you. If a child don't respect you, sometimes, majority of the time, especially if they ain't all the way fully developed mentally, they're not going to tell you. They're going to show you through actions. So you have to even say to yourself, if you think about it, why is my baby boy or baby girl like so frustrated all the time and so agitated, or don't like doing this? You have to observe them. Now, I'm not a parent, So y'all parents, I don't have any children. I have nieces and nephews, but I'm just speaking from someone who knows human behavior and the human psyche. They observe and they respect parents that respect themselves. And now they are going to test you, but you have to lay down the laws and the foundations very early and let them know, hey, this is what's right, this is what's wrong. Now, y'all can teach them right all you want, but when they go out to the school, yes, of course, they're going to still be exposed to other people who is playing certain music. But if you lay down the foundation good enough and you've done your part, they're going to get to an age where they're going to make a choice and a decision to either listen to their father and mother, what was being taught, or they just going to figure it out and learn the hard way through experience. So what we do know is, statistically speaking, is that children don't respect their parents because their parents don't respect themselves, which shows the child that they're not even worthy of being respected. So the children are gravitating towards these artists because they realize that the parents, they don't have respect for the parents because the parents are not, in their eyes, are not worthy because of the lifestyle that they're living. So of course they're going to navigate to others. So I'm going to put it back on, for the most part, collectively, overall, not individually, but as a whole, that this falls back on the instructions of the parenting level. Now you can't necessarily make a child not listen to bad music. Like I said, they're gonna go out into the world and be exposed to it. But as a parent, you can do the best you can do by telling them what's good and what's bad to the best of your ability. And also live that life, set an example. If you say something, you don't be around them listening to it. You know what I'm saying? You tell them not to listen to Mo3, but you pull up bumping it. A child say, well, ain't daddy or mom said don't listen to it, but they're playing this. So in their mind, they're contradicting themselves. They hypocrites. And now they lose respect. So it all goes into the laws that you lay down at home. Because I know plenty of people who tell their children, hey, this is not good music or whatever. And they still listen to the music, but they still keep their moral compass as well. So they listen to the negative, but they don't allow the negative music to influence them to engage in immorality or bad behavior. So right. You see that? So that's a difference.
Right, right. Well, Denise back there nodding her head a little bit while you were talking just a minute ago. But I just want to let you know that. But man, I think it's a couple things, like for me, in my opinion, right? I think part of it is, as people, we entertain too much ignorance, and when I say that, I mean, it's stuff that you're really not learning anything from. Right. And then like, I kind of associate like you remember when Chief Keef first came out, and he in the videos with him and all his partners, guns waving in the camera. That was really, he gets credit for creating the drill music, as they call it. And it's crazy that they gave that type of music its own lane. It's all drill music. They call it the drill scene. So what comes after Chief Keef? A bunch of Chicago rappers that do nothing but drill music, right? Around the same time, all the violence in Chicago gets crazy. Now, I'm not saying Chicago was a good city, as far as gun violence goes, but the gun violence, when that drill scene hit, it, you know what I'm saying? It kind of took off, right? But now, even people that don't rap, they're living it. They're living the drill scene. Meanwhile, you take somebody like Chief Keef, who moves from Chicago and moves to LA and doesn't come back to Chicago, because that's how real that drill scene got, to where he really not even welcome back to his own neighborhood. Right. So I associate that type of music with what happened in real life, not to mention you fast forward all these rap beats, almost every time a rapper gets into a beef, they start trending after the beef, you know. So I do feel like it's a little bit on us. And when I say us, I mean the consumer.
Yeah.
Because if people were not entertaining that,
Right.
then it would probably come down a little bit, right?
Yes.
Even like I remember back in the day when Gucci Mane, you know, first kind of started popping. Well, he had that murder go on, right? Gucci Mane skyrocketed because he was involved in a murder. So now most rappers, they don't even start rapping till they get out of prison, because now they have some street credit. People are going to entertain them now. People are going to listen to what they got to say because they know it's some street side into it. Look at NBA YoungBoy. Same thing with him. He had a beef with he wasn't doing the best. He had a beef with a local rapper. Local rapper ended up dead. NBA YoungBoy skyrocketed. It's like that with almost any rapper. They get into some beef, and you know they let people see the beef, and somebody's career is going to go up more than likely. The only person it didn't really work for was probably Lil Flip. he probably about the only one rap beef didn't work for, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a little bit on the consumer because we entertain that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It's some smaller rappers out right now that in Louisiana, like I think it's a rapper named Lit Yoshi. He got like 6 attempted murders right now. But if he gets out, I'm sure his career is gonna skyrocket. But yet, you in Texas, you remember TK?
No, I think I'm recall, man. I rarely be looking at the music video and stuff. I'm so out. Man, it's a lot of people I don't know about, and I have to admit,
Okay.
and I'm up here.
Hey, now look,
I don't pay attention to it.
That's good because I don't listen to these new rappers. I don't listen to the Baby, Ride Wave, Lil Baby. I've heard a few of their songs, but I don't just constantly check for their music. But TK was a little guy. He wasn't even popular really, but him and some of his buddies did a robbery and a murder. He went on the run, and while he's on the run, he dropped a song. Song went viral because he's on the run for a murder and committed another murder while he's on the run. But if you ask any young person about he had a song called The Race while he was on the run. And if you ask any young person about this song, I bet you they could tell you who TK is and the song that he had. I've never heard the song. I've only read the story about, you know, what was going on. But I said all that to say, we as people gotta stop entertaining the ignorance. And I think that would help because it's gonna be just like all these different scenarios. And every one of them, it's a young rapper that's trying to make it, that's trying to go viral, that's trying to make one of his songs go viral just so he can become a rapper. And I just listened to an interview just the other day where it was a stat that 50% of all rappers died from a murder. And most young kids want to be rappers, if you ask me, especially the males. You know, the females, not as much, but they're growing too because there's more female rappers now than I probably ever saw before. But what do you think about us as consumers entertaining, as I like to call, the ignorance, you know, that some of these rappers are giving off?
Yeah, there's a phrase or a saying that the apple don't fall too far from the tree. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, you know, the children are observing us, observing the people in the households they grow up, i.e. their parents. And if both parents are present, most importantly, then they can grow up in an environment where there's some type of righteousness and some type of nobility and moral principles that are laid down as a foundation. A lot of people I know, include myself, that were raised by both of their parents, and both of the parents stood for something or one or the other. They wasn't allowed to go to certain places, had to be at home at a certain time until you reached a certain age. And then when you got into the world, you saw the negative and you start kind of, dancing to the tune. But deep inside, you knew it wasn't right. And you knew it had a label on it of being bad or good. And you had a perspective, and you knew what the potential outcome would be if you went so far. And the only reason you thought that way and even would question that or just think about that is because of the laws that were laid down early as you were growing up by your parents. So there were plenty of people I've known whom they have told me, hey man, I remember being raised by my parents well, but I still made a choice to do X, Y, and Z, even though I knew it was bad. And then I learned something. I had a bad experience, and it triggered a thought that went back to what my dad told me, my mom told me. And I said to myself, yeah, they was right. They said if this happened, this was gonna happen. And they stopped. Versus someone who bumped their head, fall down, and they don't have any roadmap to go back to any foundation that was laid, and they just keep going unless they bump into someone and be like, hey, that ain't the right way to go. And especially if that person has experience and let them know this, I did this is what happened. They give them some type of instruction. But if the person does not have that willpower, because everyone has a free will, but doesn't have, I wouldn't say doesn't have, makes a choice to continue doing that, then that's a free will. They continue doing it. But you have a lot of young people, when you sit down and talk to them and give them a good explanation based upon your experience, they, even if they don't engage in it fully, they'll think about it for a moment. Because deep in our essence, man, we know right from wrong. Just like when a child is born, they know not to slap their mama or their dad. It's in their essence. They know instinctively. You ain't got to tell them, because they have a moral compass that's instilled in them, but it becomes contaminated by virtue of the society poison and the indoctrination. It's inevitable to escape this filth that's around us. However, you do have hope to, and I don't like using that word, but I'm gonna say it. There is hope for the young man and the young woman who has a good father and a good mother. They have hope, because they will look at other people's parents and what's going on in their lives, their other classmates, and be like, dang, my mom and dad is not like that. My dad and my mom work, they do this, they parents doing this. I know that's not right. I know this is good. They can say that to themselves and do the comparison and get a self-taught lessons right there alone and say, I know this is good, I know this is bad. And I'm glad that I'm on the good side because my parents is doing the right thing,
Right.
So it's all about instructions, how you raise a child early, but they're going to be exposed to the corruption, and it may affect them in such a way, but at least they will have an understanding of right from wrong, but they still have a choice to still make a decision, rather if it's right or wrong. But more than likely, they will steer towards the right path overall. And when I say overall, as a broader of our community, because there's still going to be certain individuals who still going to make that negative choice, even if they are raised by a good mother, a good father. But as a whole, there will be more that would steer towards good if their parents is teaching good than the negative.
Right. So Denise.
Yeah, I'd like to hear her comment, because like she was saying some good stuff earlier. What you think, sis?
Jeff mentioned a statement. He said, we as the people entertain too much ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk about that. So children do not understand when their behaviors are ignorant. They may think, oh, that's a bad choice. I may not need to do it again, but they may not understand the magnitude of what they're doing or what they're listening to, since we're talking about listening to music. So we understand that, yeah, some of this stuff is ignorant because we're of age. We've lived life. We understand the consequences of the choices in the music. If we choose to live out the lyrics. However, they do not. So we're gonna take the 4-year-old that's in pre-K.
Right.
So at that age, that's me saying again, it's exposure. So what they have created was, instead of a kid listening to a nursery rhyme, which is developing just a sense of
understanding,
a sense of understanding, a sense of love, a sense of peace, because nursery rhymes are peaceful, they're fun. This 4-year-old has already been taught that, okay, it's okay to kill, it's okay to rap about it, and I'm gonna get mad one day, and the first thing that 4-year-old gonna do is result to killing. He's not gonna result to Mary had a little lamb. She's not gonna do that. She's gonna go to solve her problems. She's not gonna know the calm way. She's gonna know the Mo3 way to do it. So what that creates is what we have right now. It's too much exposure. So the ignorance comes, honestly, you can't blame that child. That's that child's upbringing. So that parent is still, and when I say ignorant, and I mean, I know that people hate to hear that they're.
No, I know what you mean, sis. It just means you don't know. Ignorance is just you don't know something. Yeah.
Right. So that parent that's raising that child is being ignorant per se, because what's going to happen in a few years or maybe next year, they're going to start getting them calls from the school that their child got anger management problems, and they're going to start spanking their child, wondering, why is child acting like this? Ma'am, sir, let's talk about Mo3 and how that child has already been forming these habits because he's riding around listening to Mo3 with you, or sitting at the house listening to Mo3. So this is the ignorance comes in, honestly, not the children so much. And we always want to point, I'm saying the parents want to say, it's the child or it's this generation or it's the music. No, it's not different than the music we listen to. I mean, I listen to the blues, and the blues is horrible music. Don't get me wrong. It is horrible if you sit around and listen to some of the stuff.
Yeah, it's slave. The viewers ain't gonna like that slave music.
It's bad. It's slave music. It's sex music too.
Yeah.
So
take your money, making and all that. That's filthy song right there.
So it's just about it's the stage in which you are exposed to this music is what makes a difference in the outcome of the person. So we have to take some accountability as parents, as adults, as entertainers. It's just about accountability and all of us having to say, okay, we was ignorant to this at some point in time too, but what can I do now to change? Because it's not going to change. It's not going to be like, okay, the music they're going to stop rapping about killing, because they may stop rapping about killing, but then they're going to go back to our era when it's talking about rapping about drugs, and then it's going to be rapping about women, and then it's never going to stop, but we just got to take accountability.
So you do agree, sister, to what I was saying and about it starts with the parenting, the parents, the household, i.e. the adults.
I absolutely do agree.
Hold on, let me chime in on for a quick second. You know how you were saying about the 4-year-old should be listening to nursery rhymes versus Mo3, right? Fredo Bang, a rapper from Baton Rouge, he has a song out. It's on the Billboard charts right now. He's talking about his ops and whatever. It sounds like a nursery rhyme. He has the song where it sounds like a nursery rhyme, but he's talking about his ops. I just wanted to throw that in there.
But I believe that's a devil music then. That's strategically he is channeling children. So would you, as a parent, again, that goes back to the parent, would the parent sit down and be like, hey, listen to this music, it sounds like a nursery rhyme, but he's talking about the ops. That's a parenting thing. Yeah, he can put whatever kind of, if you had a song out right now, if you was to make a song and that song was making you millions, are you gonna say, you know what, don't play that song no more? Or would you just say, like Cardi B, you're don't let your children listen to the music. I want to make this music, but don't let your children listen to it. It's all a plot. It's money.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, hey, feel free to chime in, Dr. J. But with that being said, if it was more reasonable-minded adults listening to it, they wouldn't be as popular as they are.
I agree.
They need those kids to elevate them into another level, into another tax bracket, because we're not going to be at trying to be at every show, buying every album. We're not going to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not. So they need those kids to elevate them to another level. And if you ask me, that's what most rappers or entertainers, anybody, that's who they target. They target that 21 and younger age range because they're more impressionable than a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old.
Well, most importantly, they are the future. So it's the same thing that Adolf Hitler did. He took the children, took them through these programs like they do in school today, because they're utilizing the science that the Nazis used, but that's a whole nother story in the US programs. That's a totally different subject. But he took the young mind, put thoughts in the young subconscious mind that he wanted in there. And he taught them and trained their mind in a certain particular way, until when they grew older, all that information that was in their subconscious slowly began to manifest in their consciousness. And they became absolutely loyal to Hitler and worshiped him as a god because of the indoctrination and the hypnotism that he imposed on them. And that's what's happening with the children. Music is a hypnotic concept or rhythm, depending on a certain song. Well, any song, you can be hypnotized even by good songs. But because you have good and bad hypnosis, because they use that to help people out of their trauma with hypnotherapy. But the hypnotic rhythm and tune that I was talking about earlier in the song is what goes to the subconscious, and it puts certain seeds in the subconscious mind to manifest early on. And the reason they target the young people is because if they capture them at a young age, they got them. Because a child's mind, their consciousness, as they develop and become older of age, of mature age, and they reach past puberty, the consciousness is wide. So the wider the consciousness is, the more information that can absorb, and the more information you can implant in that child's subconscious or in their consciousness. And they get older, they begin to that condition begins to build up. But if they bump into someone who can give them certain instructions, especially if they have a condition, because a condition you can change to a certain extent if the individual that's receiving the instructions is willing to listen. You can change a condition from a bad condition to a good condition. But as they get older and that condition is not, it remains unconditioned or not dealt with, it becomes a character. But if a child still has a condition, they still have hope. You can still change their condition to the betterment if their trauma is not that severe yet. So that's why they're doing it. It's a repeat of generational thing. They did it even in the ancient times. They did it with the young children. So, and right now, unfortunately, the internet gave what some of the religious organizations say gave way to the devil, because he can or it, the sword, these entities, they can put out certain things so easily within a matter of minutes. So if a person want to know how to kill somebody, all they gotta do is Google it. Because insidiously, they have instructions online how to do foul stuff. That's on there. You can go find it.
Right.
So it's, I'm not saying the internet is bad, because the internet can be utilized for good stuff.
Right.
Like I've utilized it for good stuff. I'm sure you all have, you know, to do your business, your platform. So you have the positive, but you have the negative, because there's a yin and a yang in everything. You have the positive, negative, and everything. So these occultists, these people on higher echelons, they utilizing this to the betterment. TikTok, all these platforms, because they know it can spread quickly. Just like positivity can spread quickly, filth and degeneracy can spread quickly too.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm a firm believer in the hypnosis, even though I've never seen anybody be hypnotized like in real life. If you really think about it, right? I've told, you know, Denise this before. Think about when you've been on the way to work 5 days a week and you hear this song and you don't like it. But as you keep hearing it, you know all the words to it, even though initially you didn't like it.
Right.
And then think about, well, I don't know, I've never been good with nursery rhymes, but you remember the nursery rhyme, the Pied Piper? He played the little flute, and all the kids followed.
Yeah.
What did R. Kelly start calling himself? The Pied Piper of R&B.
Yeah, that's where you get that concept from. I did some research on that. Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, that's a ritual, by the way, too.
Yeah, and you know what else? Well, wow, I don't want to throw that out there about the different instruments and how they trigger things in your body.
Different frequencies, stuff like that.
Right, and you know, different hertz. You know, that's a different a different conversation. But where do you? I mean, and keep in mind what's being targeted in both of those scenarios with the Pied Piper, whether it's R. Kelly or the original Pied Piper, they're targeting the kids.
Yeah.
They need the children. You know,
and what's behind it overall is rituals.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people get uncomfortable when people talk about this, but I just have to be truthful with you all. There are rituals that are being done behind the scenes that invoke certain things to give certain individuals certain power that can give them a particular type of power that can make them more so powerful that they can easily influence the ear, especially with the young people. Hell, now you got adults, they twerking and shit too, along with the children. So they are childlike too. They got child mentality. So you have grown children and young children all tweaking and twerking and dancing to the beat and everything. So it's a sad thing, but to throw in some positivity in this, because it's just sad talking about it, but it's true. The positive side is the children out here still have hope, because there are still awesome, amazing, spectacular parents and individuals that exist. And you two are a prime example. I really don't know Sister Denise, but if you're dealing with Sister Denise, I'm sure she's a good sister. So I'm going to say I'm sure y'all doing a fantastic job, and y'all are a symbol of hope. I'm a symbol, even though I'm not a parent, but as an individual, as a righteous man, I'm a symbol. And there's other people, you know, listening to you all talk about this, because I listen to everything carefully. What people say, listen to Denise, I can tell y'all have enough intelligence to impose righteousness on your children. So they have hope. I'm confident that they're going to be fine because they have you two. And I'm not just trying to rub butter. I'm just being truthful from what I've heard from both of you all. So I will say, on a positive note, some of these children, they have hope because of people like us.
Right. So, you know, since it's getting late, and, you know, I know we got stuff, all three of us got stuff to do tomorrow. I know I'm going to try to wrap this up, right? But to, you know, our potential listeners or viewers, because, you know, you got the audio only sites. I would say this as a challenge. Like next time you're in that road trip, because me and Denise, we do this from time to time. We won't even listen to music. We'll just talk, and we'll talk about some real stuff, like real world stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say for potential listeners to do that, but talk with your kids,
Yes.
especially if they're preteens or teenagers or late teenagers. I mean, because like our kids don't even think we curse because we don't curse around them,
Wow.
and
Wow.
and even though they just don't know we curse,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
but they don't think that. But also, like usually, if I'm in the car, I'm gonna listen to some R&B, versus this new hip hop because I don't listen to it anyway. I don't even listen to the radio.
Mhm.
But I would say for any potential listener or viewer, try that as a little bit of an exercise, and you might learn something about your kid that you didn't know. But I would just say you got to pull away from this new day music instead of trying to get on the page with your kid and who they listening to.
Yeah.
Now you gotta you gotta do something different because oh my goodness, I think it's gonna take them down a different little path.
Right. And to add to that, I will say for your listeners as well is most importantly, ask your children this specific question. Ask them, what is it that they feel is wrong within this world? I know this is a random question, but just ask them that.
That's good.
And as they're listening, don't cut them off. Just let them get it all out. Because one thing I find for counseling young individuals that they tell me that their parents don't give them attention, don't want to hear them out, and they don't show them any type of love or affection. So start asking your children, for all the listeners out there, ask your children that question, what is it that you feel is wrong with the world, that's wrong with society? And see what the response is. You'll be very interested and very intrigued to hear what they have to say, because every child knows that there's something wrong. That's of age. They know something is wrong consciously. When they're younger and younger, they know instinctively, spiritually through their essence, but they don't know consciously because they're too young. But when they reach puberty and they begin to mature, psychologically develop, they begin to observe things and they begin to pick up on things. So ask them that question and get the conversation started. And then once the conversation gets started, start asking them, what do they want to, what do they think the solution is to it? What do they think they would do differently to change a situation? And what will happen is, by asking them that question and engaging that conversation, you show them genuinely, to a certain extent, that you actually care and you actually want their opinion on what they think, and you will love and honor their view and opinion, even though they're young, but you still would like to know, and that will not only give them some sort of relief, but it will also begin to build that trust, and it will let them know that they still have you as someone that they can count on, and that will support them, because a lot of young people feel that they don't have anybody, including their parents, because the parents don't ask them questions, don't ask them how they're doing, how school is going. And one other thing, I know we got to cut it off because this is very important. I always tell your child, for the viewers out there, that you're very, 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 very proud of them. The average young child I've talked to, hell, even adult that's in 40s and 50s, they broke down crying when I told them I was proud of them. And most of the adults and young people that I've told it to, after they broke down crying and when they wiped their tears, they looked me in their eyes, and this part gonna have y'all crying when we get off this call. They said, "You are the first person that has ever told me that." I'm 33 years old. I've been talking with people for the past past couple of years, but more so in the past year or so, 2 years, because since I got my doctorate, adults, 60 years old, man, 50, 40, that said that I was the first person that told them that I was proud of them, bro. Not only is that heartbreaking and sad, that's traumatic. But when I told them, it pulled so much trauma out and took so much burden off their shoulders and gave them a boost of confidence and self-love, and most importantly, the notion that someone genuinely cares about me. And that right there has kept a lot of people from killing themselves, doing all kinds of stuff. So I want to say that, listeners, tell your children that you're proud of them. Tell them and mean it genuinely. Even if it can be just because they cooked for y'all one day. They wanted to cook, be like, I'm proud of you. What you mean, Mom? What you mean, Dad? I'm proud of you for making the effort and taking the time to cook this. And I'm proud of you for who you are. That right there will do so much to a child's soul and their mind. It will motivate them, boost them to be the best they can be. It will give them a charge. So viewers and Brother Jeff and Sister Denise, be sure to tell your children at least once a week, hell, if not every day, that you're very proud of them.
Right. Denise, you got any final comments?
No, don't. I enjoyed y'all.
Oh. Look at her, she want to come back now.
Yeah, right. Sister Denise is aware of what I do and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that because I want you and her, if y'all know any people in y'all family, friends that's suffering, and I ain't just trying to sell myself, but I'm saying because people are depressed nowadays. Talk to them, let them know family, friends, loved ones that's dealing with anything, health issues.
Yeah.
They come
I had to force her to watch the first joint we did.
Force.
Yeah, I had to almost force her to watch it, because her attention span gets a little short sometimes. So I had her watch it, and yeah, she enjoyed it. So
that's good.
So I told, but yeah, at the end when you were saying the different type of counseling things that you do, and yeah, so yeah, she was listening.
Okay, that's good, man. And I'm gonna say, like I always say, man, I thank you for having me on, man. This feels good, especially with someone I grew up with. And watched growing up. It's just beautiful to see us both in this position. We all successful young entrepreneurs just trying to make a way, and we are the glitch in this matrix. We are the ones that's keeping things somewhat afloat because of our positivity and our righteousness. So
yeah. Well, look, hey, I appreciate you for joining me again.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime.
So hey, until next time, people, we out.
We out. Peace.